Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have another Christmas video for you today, just maybe not the kind that you're thinking it is. So if you recognize the character on my shirt, then you know it's Nightmare Before Christmas. So I really feel like Nightmare Before Christmas is the kind of movie that kind of fits with the Halloween theme and the Christmas theme. So, you know, it's just best to watch it all the way from October through December and just enjoy it as many times as you can. So I do follow Hot Topic on Facebook, and they happen to post about this. A Nightmare Before Christmas eyeshadow palette and liquid lipstick trio that they were selling. So of course I went online and bought it. And just like with every other Hot Topic palette that I've purchased, this retails for $16.90, and when I went online to buy it, everything was on sale and I only paid $11 for it. The same thing with the liquid lipsticks. These retailed for $14 and I only paid $10. So you really can't go wrong with these makeup items from Hot Topic because they rarely are full price. So you really do get a great deal with these palettes from Hot Topic. I mean, even though if you paid full price, $16 really isn't bad. This again is a 12 shadow palette. So let's get into this first. I'll give you the details about it. So again, this is licensed by Disney. It's cruelty free and vegan. It has 12 shades. It's on sale still, and it is in stock on their website. So Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. It has directions on the back. So this is the Simply Meant to Be palette, which I think is sweet. I love, you know, Jack and Sally on the front. So it is a coffin style and it fully comes off. So, and the brush immediately falls out. So unlike the other palettes, it doesn't have a magnetic closure, which kind of, I mean, as much as I like this style, it comes off really easily. Like, it doesn't stay at all. So this would definitely not be a traveling palette. Again, like the last palette I reviewed, the American Horror Story one, it's very, very like light kind of cardboard feeling. So there is a brush in the palette, and it's a dual-ended brush. So you've got a flat side on one end, and then this other side has a flat angled, like a liner brush. And it is wrapped, which I don't really like so much. The Beauty and the Beast one was wrapped and it started coming off really easily. But again, I'm probably not even gonna really use this that much. The liner side's nice, so maybe I'll get some use out of that. So let me show you the inside. There is a mirror, but here's the part that you actually care about, the eyeshadows. So let me give you a close-up. So it's really cute. I love Zero, he's my favorite. I love how it has like just the little intricate design. I mean, you have kind of the design of the palette, and then you've got little characters kind of peeking out. The names are really cute. So let's get into some swatches of the palette. All right, so let's take a look at the swatches. There are definitely some good and bad, but all in all, I'm actually pretty happy with it. So we'll just see how they work on the eyes when we're done with this. All right, so starting out up here at the top, the first shade is Bone Daddy, and this is actually a really nice, it's kind of like a deep grayish black. It's not like super intense, but next up is Zero, my favorite little character. This one is kind of one of the good / bad shadows in the pan. I don't know if you can see it. I'll show you. So in the pan, it has like a little bit of like an iridescence to it. I thought it was a matte white at first, and then I kind of saw this little hint of like an iridescent shift to it. So it's almost like it's a shimmery white. So I have a feeling it's gonna come off more matte than anything, but it is pretty pigmented for a white, so that's nice. Next up right here, this is the shade What's This? It's very nice, kind of like a warm brown. This one is definitely a disappointment. This one's called Tombstone. This one is the silver shade, and it actually is like a shimmery silver shade. I mean, I rubbed my finger in this shade probably 4 times and barely got anything to come off. So then I decided to wet this brush and just try to give it a shot that way. And after building and building and building, that's all I got. So I guess this is intended to be a sheer color, but it definitely, you know, kind of seemed pointless, especially for a shade like Tombstone. You would just expect a more matte gray. Next up here, this one is Sandy Claus. I love this red tone right there. It's very beautiful. Then of course, this one is Pumpkin King. This is a great metallic shade. It's very beautiful, and it was like one swipe and it was beautiful. Next up, you start getting into the more purple side of the palette. So the first one is Moonlight. This one's really nice. It's a very, very deep, almost blackish purple. It has a little hint of shimmer in it that really doesn't come off, but it's not like glitter. It's more just like an iridescence. Next one, you can't really see it very well. This is Oogie Boogie. I really like this color actually. It's just a very, very light taupe shade. And I have a feeling I'm gonna be using this as my transition, so I'm glad that it's included. This one is the other kind of disappointing one. This one's called Shock. Again, super sheer. I mean, this one is a matte, and I just, I rubbed and I went back and forth and I kept trying, and it's just very sheer. So again, maybe that's the point. Maybe it's a sheer wash of color. It did make note that you could build these colors or just have a sheer wash. So that might be their intention here. This shade right here is Beryl. This is actually a really pretty kind of grayish blue. It did need some building though. This one is Ragdoll. It's another pretty purple. And lastly, you have Lock, which is just a nice brown. All these mattes on the side, other than this one, this was the one that I was saying was really bad, but all the rest of these were actually really nice. They might have needed me to kind of go back and forth over them once or twice to get the swatch to show. But again, like, swatches don't really always give you the true, feel for a palette. So that's the point of showing you an eye look, so that you can actually see how these work with a brush and blend, because I mean, you probably are gonna want a softer look as you're blending it through your crease. So let's do that. Let's get into the eye look, and then I'll do the lips afterwards. I'm starting out with a fluffy brush into the shade Oogie Boogie and running that all through the crease. And then I decided I wanted a little bit more purple tone, so I went into the shade Shock and just again went through the crease. And as you can see, I'm going back in about 4 or 5 different times just to get a little bit of color. Next, I'm taking a flat fluffy brush and going into the shade Ragdoll, and I'm using this to pat the color on the inner and outer portion of the eye to make the halo. Since this is a really dark purple shade, I'm definitely just trying to take my time and just pat the color and avoid swiping, just to kind of minimize the fallout as much as possible. And you want the darkest color to be on the inner and outer corner, and just very lightly sweep it through. Now I'm taking a fluffy brush and going into the shade Beryl and just sweeping this through the crease to add a little bit of a different dimension. This is a really pretty bluish gray color. And then with a bit more of a dense brush, I'm going into the shade Moonlight, and I'm using this to really start darkening up the inner and outer portion of the halo. Now I'm taking a flat brush and going into Zero. I'm getting a good bit of product on the brush, and then I'm spraying it with some setting spray, and I'm just going to start kind of patting this on the lid. Now I found with this color that it worked best just to kind of start layering it. You kind of pat the color down first and then start almost rubbing the color with the brush. And then again, I did another layer with a good chunk of shadow on the brush that I wet. And then I used this flat fluffy brush to dip back into Zero and just kind of pat it over the top. And I feel like that really helped the white stand out. Then just to kind of tidy everything up, I took a nice little blending brush and went back into Ragdoll just to make sure I didn't blend any of that purple away. Now I'm taking a fluffy brush into What's This and running that through the crease, and then also dipping a little bit into Sandy Claws just to add a little bit more of a rosier tone. It's not so pigmented if you kind of use a light hand. Now using the brush from the palette, I'm using the flat angled side to go into Moonlight and use this as liner for the entire lower lash line. Then I'm taking a flat brush, kind of a little bit fluffy, going back into Sandy Claws, and I'm using this to smoke out the lower lash line. Then I decided to use a combination of Moonlight and Bone Daddy on the dense blending brush just to really deepen up the outer corner, since I decided I wanted to do a wing. And for the inner corner, I decided to give Tombstone a shot, and I just kind of used this, and as you can see, it didn't work very well, so I topped it with Zero just to add a bit more brightness. Then for liner, I'm using the Tarte Tarteist double-ended liner. First the pencil side to line the waterline, and then the liquid side to do a wing. And then of course, curling the lashes and adding mascara. Alright guys, so this is the finished eye look. I'm actually pleasantly surprised and happily impressed by this palette. You know, there were the shades that were sheer, kind of like we saw with the swatches, but it kind of actually worked in my favor. I mean, using this Shock shade in my crease was actually kind of, it gave a really nice little undertone. I did have to dip back in about 4 times to get it, but it was a really nice wash of color in the crease. And so I would imagine, like, if you were trying to do something kind of purple but not like so smoky like this would be a great transition for that. I loved these two colors right here, these two warm colors. It was kind of like a last minute addition to decide to throw it into the crease on this side. So, you know, obviously I did it on the other side, but I loved the tone that it came out with. I loved the way they complemented the purples, and I am so happy about this zero color. It's definitely a weird shadow, but I did find that if you kind of sprayed the brush out after you had some product on it and almost like swiped back and forth, kind of rubbing the product, it did give that kind of white iridescent kind of color that I thought it was. So I guess, you know, it's kind of fitting. It's like a perfect ghostly color. Now let's look at the lip products. So I'll do a little swatch on my hand of all three of these, and then I will put them on my lips. Okay, I'm starting to think these are lip glosses. Why don't I read packaging? So you have Skellington Black, Shocking Plum, and Oogie Boogie Mauve. All right, so I went and grabbed the packaging just so I could see if it said anything specific about it. It just says Now and Forever Lip Collection. On the back, it is really adorable. It has the shade names and colors in the shape of zero. That's so cute. And it just kind of gives you directions on how to apply a lipstick. But it says, blot lips together with a napkin or tissue to remove excess lipstick from lips. It doesn't actually say if these are liquid lipsticks, lip glosses, but now that these have sat on my hand for a few minutes, if you look, the black looks like it's dried down, and these two are still glosses. So I'm guessing liquid lipstick and glosses. Interesting, which I guess is good, because if you're gonna wear black, you probably don't want it going all over the place. Let's start with the glosses. So I will start with the nude gloss first, because I'm sure it's probably going to be my favorite. Let me zoom you in. All right, so Oogie Boogie Mauve. Okay, I absolutely love this color. This is definitely like an everyday color for me. I love this. All right, on to the next lip gloss. Next is Shocking Plum. Let's see how this goes. All right, so this one is definitely not my favorite, not because of the color, but it's such a dark color, so as a gloss, it comes off really streaky. So maybe the intention of this kit was to put the black lipstick on and then top it with the colors. That might actually be a better idea. At least for these two. I could see this going really nicely over the black. I will try the black and then top it with the gloss so we can look and see how that looks, because that mauve is beautiful by itself, but this, it needs help. All right, and now for the last one, which is Skellington Black. So I will say I already know that, you know, from swatching it, it's got a really nice kind of stiff doe foot applicator, so I'm not as afraid of the black shade, like needing a lip liner or something. So let's see how it goes. So while I'm letting this one dry, I will say the formula of this one, it's not quite as nice as the liquid lipsticks from the Wonder Woman collection. It seemed, I got hair in my mouth. It was a little bit streakier. It definitely took 2 layers. The scent is still the same. I mean, and it's a really, once you do build the 2 layers, it's a really nice opaque color, but just beware of that. So let's give this a second to dry, and then I will top it with the purple gloss. All right, so the Skellington Black color is dry, so let's top it with Shocking Plum and just see if this gloss looks better over the black. Well, I don't quite think that made too much of a difference now. It just looks like a glossy black. So I would say that out of this whole set, The purple is actually the most disappointing color just because it's so streaky for a dark color. They really either needed to make it more of a sheer purple or make it a liquid lipstick, because the black, when you layered 2 coats, was nice and opaque and just dark and beautiful. It might not necessarily be my cup of tea to wear black lipstick all the time, but you know, it could come in handy for next Halloween or anytime I want to maybe do like a really vampy look with something a little different. But this purple, I mean, unless you put a lip liner or maybe another lipstick underneath it, I think you're just gonna have problems because it's just way too streaky. And then of course, this one, my favorite. I'm gonna switch and put this one back on. All right guys, so final thoughts for this little collection. This eyeshadow palette is actually really awesome. I mean, it definitely has some flaws. I hate this part. I mean, you can't travel with it, but I probably wouldn't. But these colors are really beautiful. These neutral tones are gorgeous, and I love all the purples. I mean, palettes with purples in them, especially affordable cheap palettes with purples in them, have been really kind of more miss than hit lately. So I'm really, really happy that the purples were so nice, and I got this really fun smoky purple color. Awesome. And these are awesome. Okay, first off, this feels really heavy and nice, and this topper is adorable. This gloss that I'm wearing right now is my absolute favorite. The black, while black isn't necessarily my liquid lipstick of choice, if I ever wanted to wear it, this would be a perfect option. It was actually really opaque. It did take 2 layers, but it was great. The purple is kind of like, meh, not really that great. I mean, it's a pretty color, but you're definitely gonna have to layer it over something. I just don't see why they did it that way. But all in all, I basically paid $10 for the lip glosses and $11 for the palette. So, you know, for right around $20, I got this really adorable Nightmare Before Christmas collection. It's the first one I've seen like this. Overall, I think this collection is actually really great, especially for the price. I love the look that I got out of it. I'm definitely going to be putting this in my purse and wearing it just as an everyday lip gloss. And yeah, I'm very happy with it. So yay, Hot Topic, good job. All right, guys, so don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and thank you for watching. Bye.